Okay, so I am going to be just going over some uh, variable manipulation practice. This is actually for a physics class that I'm in with Mrs. Longmire, but this can be used also for some algebra classes. I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my camera, and this is what the assignment looks like. Okay, I will flip my camera right quick so it will be easier to see and adjust it. Okay. Okay, so this assignment says there are various options to turn it in. Today I've chosen to just write this assignment down on paper. If I were a student and I chose to write this assignment down on paper, I would just write it down on paper and then I would take a picture of it with my phone and then I would just upload it to my Google Classroom. As I do various videos, I'm going to use different types of media to show you the options that you could use to turn in different your assignments because there are people who like to use different things. But today I'm just going to use a pencil and paper. I have a composition notebook that I have had that I used. I'll just show you. Um, I used to have physics that I had, and I had started. So this is kind of like a physics book that when I used to do physics, that I created a while ago. So I just started writing in this book. And so here's this assignment. Okay. So let's just get started with it. I'm going to do a little bit of talking about this. Just do some explanations. Okay. I get easily distracted when I'm doing work. So it's very important for me to be very organized and to write very neatly. Otherwise, my mind will just go everywhere and I will not know what I'm doing. Also, I use a lot of color and diagrams to make sure that I keep focusing. I strongly suggest that for people who have the same problem to keep them focused with what they're doing. Okay. So the first problem, I'm going to show you what it looks like so you won't see all of my little notes. So the first problem looks like this on paper. It was y equals z times x. Okay. So what I wrote was y equals z times x. Some people call that the wall and floor, so that's what I put. And when you are doing multiplying in algebra, you always want to use the opposite to undo the operation that you are using. So, for example, um, kind of skipping some stuff here, so I'm trying to backtrack and slow it down. Okay, so we are in this whole entire worksheet, we are solving for x. And so what I have to do for myself is what I strongly suggest is when you are trying to solve for whatever variable, I circle to remind myself that I am solving for x. So I've circled here that I'm solving for x. And then I'm looking at whatever operation is next to x to remind me of what I have to do to undo to get that x by itself. So z is being multiplied by x. So basically, I have to divide that z to undo it. To undo it, divide that z to undo it by the x, to get rid of it, to multiply by the x. So something like this is so simple. I am not going to even really go through trying to do, the z on both sides. Something like this, you can just move the z over and you're done. So that's what I did. So I went over here. I move the z over. And I'm one of those ones that I like to have my x on the other side. So I rewrote the problem, and not problem, my answer, and I put x equals y over z, just because that's how my brain works. And then I highlighted it. So because I do that, because on tests, it's so much easier for me to have my answered highlighted or circled. So x equals y over z. So that's my answer for number 1. Problem 2. We have y equals x times z squared. Okay, I'm going to move on down. Okay, in this case, x is being multiplied by z squared. So again, x is being multiplied. So to undo multiplication, you have to divide. All I had to do was take that z squared and move it over to divide it by the y. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do it to the other. So I went down into my steps and I just moved it over. And in this case, since it was just moving it over, made it real easy on myself. And then I just rewrote the problem, x equals y over z squared. And then I went ahead and highlighted it. I switched it because that's just how my brain works. Okay. Problem number 3. Problem number 3 was y equals z over x. Okay. So this one, z is being divided by x, and so x is the denominator, and so we're going to have to get that x out of the denominator, and we're going to have to multiply the x on both sides. So this is a couple step problem. So I went ahead, I'm going to move my paper down. Let's see, and I'm going to see if I can show you. So what I did is I multiplied the x on my right side. So I got rid of the x over here, and I multiplied my x over here. So I ended up with x times y over here, and I got the z by itself. But we're still trying to isolate that x. So we end up with xy equals z, but that's not what we really want. We want to isolate the x. We're trying to find what x is. So since the x is being multiplied by the y, now we have to find out what we have to undo that y that's being multiplied by the x, or vice versa, that's being multiplied by the y. So what I did is I divided the y by the x times the y, and that canceled out the y, and I had to do that the other side. So I ended up with x equals z over y, and that was my answer for there. Okay. Moving right along. Problem 4. Y equals x over z. Again, the x is being divided by the z. We need to get rid of that z. So here, I isolated my x. You see, this is where I isolated my x. So remind me, that's what I'm trying to find. I multiplied this side by the z. I multiplied that part by the z. That cancels out the z on this side, and that leaves my x by itself. Okay. So I have zy equals x. And for me, like I said, my brain works better when I have x equals z times y. So that's what I went ahead and I have for answer 4. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and move on down to number 5. Number 5. Let's see. Number 5, without all my writing. Number 5. Here's the question for number 5. Y equals x squared times t plus z times w. Okay? So again, to keep me focused, I have go ahead and circled and isolated the x to let me know this is what I am solving for. And I went ahead and underlined that. And my first thing I did is, what can I get rid of? I got rid of, on this side where the x is, I got rid of the t. That was the easiest thing to do first. So I said, I'm sorry, I got rid of the what was being added first. You kind of work backwards. Remember PEMDAS? Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. When you're dealing with this, you're going to kind of work backwards. You get rid of what you can add or subtract first. So I got rid of the ZW, the plus ZW. So I subtracted that first and put that over there. So I have y minus ZW equals x squared t. Okay. Then the next thing I did is I divided the t because it's being multiplied by the x, and that cancels out the t, and that puts that over there. So I have y minus w divided by t. Okay. And then move on down. Leaving x squared over there. So it's y minus zw divided by t, or over t, equals x squared. We cannot leave x squared, so we have to get rid of that. How do you get rid of x squared? You're going to have to square it out. So I squared it out. I ended up with x. And you have whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other. So I did the square root there. So this is my answer. Square root y minus zw over t equals x. Let's look at problem 6. Problem 6, y equals xt squared minus z. Let's move on down. Problem 6. Again, you see that I circled my x to remind me that that's the variable that I'm solving for. Okay? Okay. I could go ahead and there's some subtraction here. So I went ahead and got rid of that by adding the z to the other side. So I have y plus z, leaving me with the x times t squared. I went ahead and got rid of that t squared by dividing it, and I got rid of that, leaving me with x plus z t squared, and that left me with y equals y plus z over t squared. Number 7, y equals 7 times t times w over x. Okay. See there, I have isolated my x, or circled my x, to remind me that is the variable that I am trying to solve for. Here, the x is in my denominator, so I'm going to have to multiply that by both sides. So that's what I did. And I ended up with the x times y on this side, and I have z times t times w on this side. We can't leave it like that because we want the x by itself. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to divide the y to get rid of the y on both sides, to get rid of that y on this side. Excuse me if I am not explaining this right, or explaining this in a way that you're understanding it. I will get better. I'm not used to recording myself, so I will get better. Or if you have any questions or concerns about how I'm explaining this, please let me know and I will answer them for you. Okay. So you can show here what I did is I divided the y here, that canceled out that y, and I divided the y here. In my answer, I wrote here um, x equals, and then I just went ahead and put it in order, in alphabetical order, T, W, Z over Y. Okay. Number 8. Number 8. The number 8 was Y equals T, Y equals 2 times XT. Y equals 2 times XT. In here, I went ahead and circled my X. You can see that there. That is reminding me, hey, this is what I'm solving for. X is being multiplied both by the 2 and the t. So I just go ahead and drop that down to the bottom because they needed to be divided, because whatever you need, whatever is being multiplied by, you need division to undo it. And I'm dividing that on both sides. Okay. Since I'm dividing the 2 and the t, automatically that is going to leave the x by itself. And over here on this side, I'm going to use 2 and the t to divide. And again, I move this up so you can see x equals y over 2 over t. Okay. 9 and 10. Let's see, I have 3 minutes to go. Let's see if I can explain that right quick. Flip that over. See if I can explain this as quickly as possible. Y equals 1/2 times x times t squared. Okay. Okay. So let's see if you can understand that. Let's see if you can see it. I might have too much light. Put that in there. Okay. So the first thing you want to do is this problem, your x is being multiplied by 1/2. You need to get rid of that fraction. And so in order to get rid of that fraction, it's that x is being multiplied by 1/2. You have to multiply by the inverse of the half. So multiply by 2. So 2 over 1, that's going to cancel out that fraction right there. So that's what I did. And when you do that, you're going to multiply both sides by 2, which is what I did. Okay. And I'm going to go down here. By me doing that, that leaves me with the next step, 2y equals x times 2, x times t squared, which I have. And then I'm going to move on down. Okay. I need to get rid of that t squared. So I'm going to divide it because it is being multiplied by the x. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop that down, and then I have to divide it on the other side. And that will leave me with x equals 2y over t squared. Okay. And last and final question was y equals 1/2 t x squared. Okay. Number 10. Same situation here, a little bit different. You do have a half there. So let's see, y equals 1/2 t x squared. Okay. You want to get rid of the fraction. You just want to go ahead and get rid of that. So again, in the same situation, we're going to multiply by the 2 over 1. 2 over 1 is actually multiplying by 2. That gets rid of that fraction, and you got to multiply it on both sides. So we end up with 2y, and now we have the x being multiplied by, um, it's 2x squared. Okay, I'm going to move that down. We're going to, since the x squared is being multiplied by t, I am going to cancel out that t by dividing it. I divided on both sides, leaving me with x squared. We can't keep the x squared. We want the x. We're just finding and solving for x. So we're going to go ahead and square it out and find the square root of x squared. And that will leave us with the x. And then we're going to square root on both sides. So I'll leave it with x equals the square root of 2y over t. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask or comment on this video. Oh my goodness, you can't see. Let me move this up. There you go. If you have any questions, comment on this video. Thank you.